renowned Menecius was. Thyself and great Aeacides, when Peleus the king to thunder-loving Jove did burn an ox for offering in his courtyard. Did burn an ox for offering in his courtyard. Did burn an ox for offering in his courtyard. Burn an ox for offering in his courtyard. A cup of ox. Burn an ox for offering in his courtyard. A cup of gold crowned with red wine he held on the holy incensory poured. You, when the ox was felled, were dressing his divided limbs. We in the portal stood. Achilles, seeing us come so near, his honorable blood was struck with a respective shame. Stood. Achilles dressing his divided limbs. We in divided limbs. When the ox was felled, were dressing his divided limbs. We in the portal stood. Achilles, seeing us come so near, his honorable blood was struck with respective shame, rose, took us by the hands, brought us both in, and made us sit, and used his kind commands, for seemingly hospitable rites, which quickly were approved. Then, after needfulness of food, I first of all disclosed the royal cause of our I first of all disclosed the royal cause of our despair. I moved you and your despair. Moved you and your of our despair. Moved you and cause of our despair. Moved you and your great friend to consort our renowned designs, both straight, our renowned designs, both our renowned designs, both straight did condescend. Your fathers knew it, gave consent, and grave instruction to both your valors. Peleus charged his most unequaled son to govern his victorious strength and shine past all the rest in honor as in mere main force. Then were thy partings blessed with dear advices from thy sire. My loved son, said he, Achilles by his grace of birth by his superior is to by his grace by his grace of birth superior is to thee, and for his force more excellent, yet thou more ripe in years. Then with sound counsels, age's fruits, employ his honored years, command and overrule his moods. His nature will obey thus charged, discreetly given. His nature will obey his moods. His nature will obey in any charge discreetly given, that doth thus discreetly given, that doth his good assay. Thus charge thy sire, which thou forgetst, yet now at last approve. Yet now which thou forget'st, yet now at last approve with forced reverence of these. Forced reverence of these, the attraction of his love. His love. Action of his love. Who knows if sacred influence may bless thy good intent and enter with thy gracious words? Who knows action of his love? Who knows if sacred influence may bless thy good intent and enter with thy gracious words, even to his full consent? The admonition of a friend is sweet and vehement. If any oracle he shun, or if his mother queen hath brought him some instinct from Jove that fortifies his spleen, let him reign command spleen. Let him reign command to thee of all his myrmidons, and yield by that means some repulse, and yield by that means of all his myrmidons, and yield by that means some repulse to our confusions, adorning thee in his bright arms, that his resembled form may haply make thee thought himself, and calm this hostile storm, that so a little we may ease our overcharged hands. Draw some breath, not expire it all. The foe but faintly stands beneath his labors, beneath his labors. And your charge, being fierce and freshly given, they easily from our tents and fleet may to their walls be driven. And your charge, being fierce and fresh, they easily from our tents and your charge, being fierce and freshly given, and your charge, being fierce and freshly given, they easily from our tents and fleets may to their walls be driven. They easily from our tents and fleets freshly given, they easily from our tents and fleets may to their walls be driven. This moved the good Patroclus' mind. Walls be driven. This moved the good Patroclus' mind, who made his utmost haste to inform his friend. And as the fleet of Ithacus he passed, at which their markets were disposed, councils and martial courts, and where to the altars of the gods they made divine resorts, he met renowned Eurypylus, Evamon's noble son, halting noble son, halting, his thigh hurt with a shaft, the liquid sweat did run down from his shoulders and his brows, and from his raging wound forth with a shaft flowed a shaft, the liquid sweat did run Evamon's noble son, halting, his thigh hurt with a shaft. The liquid sweat did run down from his shoulders and his brows, and from his brow. And from his shoulders and his brows, and from his raging wound forth flowed his melancholy blood. Yet, raging wound forth flowed his melancholy blood. Yet still his mind was sound. His sight in kind Patroclus' breast to sacred pity turned, and nothing more impartial for sacred pity turned, and nothing more impartial for true ruth. Thus he mourned, and leaders of the his sight in kind Patroclus' breast to sacred pity. His mind was sound. His sight in kind Patroclus' breast to sacred pity turned, and sound. His sight in kind Patroclus' breast to sacred pity turned, and nothing more impartial for true ruth. Thus he mourned. Ah, wretched progeny of Greece, princes, dejected kings, was it your face, kings? Was it your fates to nourish beasts and serve the outcast wings of savage vultures here in Troy? Mourned. Our great, you know, good father, our great friend is, and thus he mourned. Ah, wretched progeny, thus he mourned. Ah, princes, thus he mourned. Ah, wretched progeny of Greece, princes, dejected kings, was it your fates to dejected kings, Was it your fates to nourish beasts and serve the outcast wings of savage vultures here in Troy? And serve the outcast wings of savage vultures here in wings of wings, outcast wings of outcast wings of savage vultures here in Troy? Tell me, Evermon's fame, do yet the Greeks withstand his force, whom yet no force withstand his force, whom his force Greeks withstand his force, whom yet no force can tame? Or are they hopeless, thrown to death by his resistless? Or are they divine Patroclus, princes, or are they hoped by his resistless? Or are they no force can tame? Or are they hopeless, thrown to death by his resistless lance? His resistless lance. His resistless lance. Divine Patroclus, he replied, no more can Greece advance, defense advance, defensive weapons, but to fleet no more can Greece advance defensive weapons, but to fleet they headlong must retire, for those that to this hour for those retire, for those that to this hour have held our fleet from hostile fire, and are the bulwarks of our host, lie wounded at their tents, and Troy's unvanquishable power, and Troy's their tents, and Troy's tents, and Troy's unvanquishable power still as it toils augments. But take me to thy black-sterned ship, save me, and from my thigh cut out this arrow, and the blood that is ignored and dry. Thigh, cut out this arrow, and the blood, and from my thigh cut out, and from my thigh cut out this arrow, and the blood. From my thigh, me, and from my, and from my thigh, and from my thigh cut out this arrow. From my thigh cut out this arrow, and the blood that is ignored and dry. Wash with warm water from the wound, the gentle wound, then from the wound, then gentle salves apply, which thou knowest best, thy princely best. Knowest best, thy princely institute taught thee best, thy princely friend hath taught thee surgery, whom of all centaurs the most just Chiron did institute. Chiron, just, was the most just Chiron did institute. Thus to thy honorable hands I ease, thus did institute. Thus to thy honorable hands my ease I prosecute, since our physicians cannot help. Machaon at his tent needs a physician himself, being leech and patient, and Podalirius in the field the sharp Podalirius in the field the sharp conflict sustains. In the field the sharp conflict sustains. And Podalirius in the field strong many Podalirius and and patient and Podalarius, in the field, the sharp conflict sustains. Strong Menetiades replied, How shall I ease thy... No, I wrote it, conflict sustains. The sharp conflict sustains. Strong Menetiades replied, How shall I ease thy pains? What shall we do, Eurypylus? Am I to use all haste to signify to... Am I to use all haste to Am I... Eurypylus, am I to use all haste to signify to Thetis' son occurrence that have passed at Nestor's? How shall I ease past? We do, Eurypylus. I'm to use all haste means. What? How shall I ease thy pain? How shall I ease? Eurydice replied, How shall I ease thy pains? What shall we do, Eurypylus? I'm to use all haste to signify to Thetis' son occurrence that have passed at Nestor's honorable suit. But be that work achieved, when this is done. I will not leave thy torments honorable suit, but be honorable suit, but be that work achieved when this is done. I will not leave thy torments unrelieved. But be that work achieved when this is done. But honorable suit, but be that honorable suit, but be that work achieved when this is done. I will not leave thy torments unrelieved. This said, athwart his back he cast, beneath his breast his arm, and nobly helped him to his tent. His servants, seeing his harm, dispread ox hides. I would have to basically... Oh, wait. Yeah, he was. This said, athwart his back he cast. His servants. This torments unrelieved. This said, athwart his back he cast, beneath his breast his arm, and nobly helped beneath his breast his arm, and beneath his breast his cast, beneath his breast his arm, beneath cast, beneath his athwart his back he cast, beneath his breast his arm, and nobly helped him to his tent. His servants, seeing his harm, dispread ox hides upon the earth, whereon Eurypylus on the earth, whereon Eurypylus lay. On the earth, whereon Eurypylus lay. Patroclus cut out the sharp shaft, and clearly washed away with lukewarm water the black blood. Then twixt his hands he bruised a sharp and mitigatory root. Twixt his hands he bruised a blood. Then twixt his hands he bruised a sharp and mitigatory root, which when he had infused into the green well clean, which he bruised a sharp and mitigatory, which when he had mitigatory root, bruised a sharp and mitigatory root, which when he had bruised a sharp and mitigatory bruised a sharp and mitigatory root. Cleansed wound into the green well clean, which when he had fixed his hands he bruised a sharp and mitigatory root, which when he had infused into the green well cleansed wound, the pains he felt before were well the pains cleansed wound, the pains he felt before were well and instantly allayed. The wound did bleed no more. The wound did bleed no more. The wound did bleed no more. Allayed. The wound did bleed no more. Book 12. The wound did bleed instantly allayed. The wound did bleed no more.